And the bottom of my casket will have a file cabinet for all these student loans to rest in heavenly peace. That's how much I owe in student loans. How much money?
I want to tell you guys, as a 19-year-old with $45,000 in debts alone, y'all, please don't get a finance car, literally, y'all. I have a Jeep, 2021 Jeep. I bought back in 2023. I financed that shit for $46,000, right? I'm like, I really want, this is my dream car. Yeah, don't get on me talking about, oh, Jeep is your dream car. Yes, at the time I was 18. It was my dream car, like most definitely. But now I can't get rid of this car. Literally, I'm stuck with this car, y'all. Like, I'm in so much debt right now, y'all. Like, most of my paycheck is going towards this car. Half of it is going towards this car, y'all. I'm literally struggling so bad, and I wanted to document my journey on how I'm going to get rid of it. I've been doing DoorDash to like pay off, you know, sometimes because, like, honestly, me working is not going to cover it up. And before y'all be like, oh, why is your hair done? Why is your eyelashes done and shit? With my DoorDash money I earn. Just because you're broke doesn't mean you can feel broke. Like, I just want to, like, feel like myself. You know what I'm saying? But my car, right? My car note is literally, guys, I cannot stress enough. It's $978 a month. Plus warranty, that's $154. So calculate that, I'm paying $1,200 something alone on this car, y'all. Like, I'm struggling, but nobody knows I'm struggling because I was ashamed of it. Like, now it's like, I don't really care what people think. Like,
hey YouTube, if you spent any time on financial TikTok lately, you already know that debt stories are everywhere right now, and the range of the situations people are in are genuinely staggering. I wanted to do a deeper dive into the side of this conversation that most people skip past. The cultural stuff, the generational stuff, the reasons why this keeps cycling through American life without ever really getting resolved. Because I think once you zoom out and look at the full picture, this stops being about individual people making mistakes and starts looking a lot more like a structural issue that needs a structural solution.
I am 22 years old and I am in $91,300 worth of debt, and I am filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy today.
Just to be clear, more than 60% of her debt is that car that she's sitting in. I know she meant this to be a video about how hard it is for our generation, but she has $91,300 worth of debt, and $55,000 of it is the car that she's sitting in. Oh, and her other debts? $5,000 on a motorcycle, more than $13,000 on a camper so she can travel, and $7,700 worth of credit card debt. You know, because, you know, when you don't have a lot of money, what you should do is use a credit card. Yeah, this isn't what bankruptcy was made for. These aren't the people, like, this is not the story of a little girl struggling. Now, this is the story of a girl who didn't have a very good job and bought a $60,000 car. That's what this is a story of. But you know what? Look, use bankruptcy, use it however you want. If it's going to benefit you to declare bankruptcy, whatever. But just know that bankruptcy is not going to fix your bad habits. Bankruptcy is not going to make you better with money. No, it's just going to give you a new starting point to fuck it all up again.
So, my husband and I are $60,000 in debt. Okay.
Part of the problem. You are.
Let me explain how we got here. In June of 2022, we had a good amount of savings and decided that our home that we've been living in for a couple years just needed some maintenance and some upgrades. You can see behind me, we live in like a very normal house, but there were some things like on the outside where our stucco was falling off, so we needed to have that repaired. We had our house painted, we upgraded our bathroom a little bit, and also decided to pay off my husband's private student loan because the interest is not great. And so we had plenty of savings and we decided to just drain those bad boys. We both had really stable jobs. We would be able to squirrel away some money over time and build back up our savings again. 2 weeks later, unexpectedly, I was laid off from my job. And I'm the breadwinner of our household, so it did not go well. I was unemployed for about 7 months. Thank goodness I had social media to keep us afloat for a little bit, but here's the deal. We had to put a lot of stuff on credit card to be able to keep ourselves afloat. So anything that could go on a credit card went on a credit card. And that allowed my husband's income to pay for our mortgage, our car payments, our daycare, things like that. But everything else went on a credit card. We cut back as much as we could, but there's still a lot of expenses. We finally decided to do a debt consolidation loan, and it's about $65,000. And we're gonna try and pay it off. We did a 5-year loan plan, but we're gonna try and pay it off in the next 2 years. if I can finally get that OnlyFans account going. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do OnlyFans, but that's our goal. One of our kids gets out of daycare this year. We've spent $36,000 a year on daycare. So one of them graduates this year. The other one goes to VPK. So that'll save us a little bit of money. Our hopes are that we're able to put a lot of what we were already paying for daycare towards this loan and get it paid off sooner than planned. But your girl loves to shop, so I'm gonna have to do some shit to keep myself accountable to this. So I'm coming on the internet and telling you what my deepest, darkest secret. Where are you going? Oh. Bye. Buying a puppy when you're in $60,000 of credit card debt is not a good idea. I'm just saying that.
America has this deeply baked in idea that if you work hard and do the right things, financial success is basically guaranteed. And that idea has been sold for so long that a lot of people still believe in it, even when their own life is telling them something different. The issue is that belief makes it feel really easy to internalize financial failure as a personal flaw instead of recognizing them when external circumstances are the actual reasons. Credit card companies and lenders have always leaned on that narrative too. They frame borrowing as empowerment as you take control of your future, when really they're just opening a revenue stream. Buy now, pay later culture has made spending feel consequence free in the short term, and the long term consequence are what you're seeing in all these videos of people realizing their debt has completely spiraled. There's also this weird social pressure around spending that nobody really talks about. Keeping up appearances, not looking broke in front of people, feeling like you have to participate in a lifestyle that your income doesn't actually support. Social media has made that pressure about 10 times worse because now you're constantly watching a curated highlight reel of everyone else's life, even when that reel is funded by debt. A lot of people got into credit card debt not because they were reckless, but because they were trying to feel normal in a world that constantly broadcasts a standard of living most people can't actually afford. That's not weakness, that's just what happens when you marinate in consumer culture your entire life and nobody ever really teaches you how to push back against it.
I will be over $100,000 in debt by the time I finish CRNA school, and this is why I do not care. Your education is an investment. Once you start looking at it as an investment and your return on investment, then you understand that having debt is not necessarily a bad thing. Now, obviously, student loans are a burden, and I'm not saying that they're not. However, you need to look at the reason why you're doing this. There's a reason why you take out roughly 6 figures of debt to go to CRNA school. You're not working for 3 years, but the payoff is there. In my personal opinion, upon graduation, I will be making double, if not more, what my loans are. Now, obviously, if I was taking out 6 figures of debt for a $50K job, that wouldn't really make a lot of sense for me. However, the fact that my debt is lower than what I will be making in a year once I graduate makes it worth it. There's multiple things that you can do to prepare to pay off your student loans once you become a CRNA. You can take a sign-on bonus at a place. A lot of places now are offering $25,000, $50,000, even $100,000 sign-on bonuses. If you are willing to sign a 2-3 year contract or whatever the contract terms are, you could pay your loans off right like that. There's also jobs that are offering tuition assistance and tuition payment plans also by signing a contract, so you could do that as well. Or if you work for the federal government for 10 years, I think you qualify for PSFL, I think it's called, where they will pay off the rest of your loans, but you have to put 120 months worth of payments down, which is 10 years. Or you work a bunch of overtime, you grind, and you pay it off the old school fashioned way without having, a fat sign-on bonus or whatever. But the point of the matter is, the debt, one, I don't even check the account at this point because I know their interest is racking up, and what am I going to do? Just stare at it, But the fact of the matter is, yes, the debt is real and the student loan debt is accruing, but I wouldn't have done this if I didn't feel that the return on investment was worth it. So don't, in my opinion, this is my advice, don't overthink the fact that you're going to be in all this student loan debt. Yes, you will be, unless you're paying for it out of pocket. But at the end of the day, you're going to be making enough money when you graduate, hence the lucracy of this career. You're going to be making enough where it's not going to matter. So you could pay it off in 1 year. If you want to be aggressive, you could pay it off in 5 years, or you could pay it off in the full 10 years. But the debt to income ratio will be high and you will get it done. So that's why I'm not worried. It sounds scary though, to be $100,000 in debt, but I'm not worried about it.
I am over $100,000 in debt because of student loans. Do I think it was worth it? Do I regret my decision? Let's get into it. So I decided to become a nurse when I was 24. I went to a community college to complete all of my prerequisite classes. I paid next to nothing to complete those. Once I was done and graduated with an associate's in science with a 3.8 GPA, I started applying to nursing programs. Applied to nursing programs throughout San Diego County, through Riverside County. 2 years went by and I had still not gotten into a nursing program. Bite the bullet and take out student loans and go to a private accelerated nursing program. I went to West Coast University. This school is notorious for being really expensive. Accelerated, so you graduate with your bachelor's degree in nursing in little over 2 years. The education itself, I really don't know if it was good or bad in the grand scheme of nursing programs throughout Southern California. What I will say is that I am in debt over $100,000 because of student loans. I don't know how long it's going to take me to pay that off. In fact, it's just a distant future goal of mine. I'm not even worrying about it right now. Paying them on time, it is what it is. Do I regret it? If I knew that getting into a regular public nursing program going to be that difficult, I would have just gone to West Coast right off the bat and saved myself those 2 years wasted. Why is it so hard to get into a nursing program? Is what I really want to know. There are so many RNs that are leaving bedside. Why would you want to make it so difficult for people to just get into nursing school? If you're thinking about going to West Coast and if you've been trying to get into a nursing program and you're having no luck, I would just say go for it. Go to a private program that you know you have a guaranteed foot in the door. If there's one thing I regret is that I didn't start sooner.
One angle I think deserves a lot more attention is how financial struggle passes through families in ways that have nothing to do with genetics and everything to do with what you were taught and what environment you grew up in. If you grew up watching your parents struggle with debt, avoid talking about money, or make financial decisions out of desperation rather than strategy, that becomes your normal, and normal is hard to unlearn. A lot of people in these videos are not just dealing with their own debt, they're also dealing with patterns they inherited without even realizing it. Maybe no one in their family had a savings account, so building one never felt like a realistic option. Or maybe credit cards were always just how you handle emergency, because that's what they watched growing up. These aren't excuses, they're real psychological and behavioral patterns that form early and stick, and recognizing them is actually the first step to breaking them. The frustrating part is that financial education could interrupt these cycles, but it's almost completely absent from most public schools, which means the kids who need the information the most are the ones least likely to get it. Wealthy families pass down financial knowledge the same way they pass down wealth, intentionally, through conversation and modeling. And families without that advantage are just left to figure it out through trial and error. Breaking a generational cycle is one of the hardest things people can do, and if you're somebody watching this that's actively trying to do that, that's genuinely something to be proud of.
I'm 27 years old and I have over $500,000 in debt. And that feels absolutely crazy to say out loud, but I'm okay with it because this is the year that I'm going to start tackling it. I owe $33,000 on my car, and then I owe $512,000 on my house. When I had mentioned in a previous video that I wanted to pay off my mortgage in 5 years, people were commenting and telling me that I shouldn't pay off my mortgage, and let me explain to you why I'm going to do it anyways. Right now, my mortgage has an interest rate of 6.25%, which is absolutely insane because most of my friends have high 2s, low 3 interest rates, which in that sense would have made it really smart not to pay off your mortgage because you'd be able to get a bigger return putting your money elsewhere. However, for me, with my mortgage having over $500,000 still on the loan and having such a high interest rate, I think my biggest priority is going to be leveraging my $300K base salary, all of my quarterly bonuses, and all of the money I make from social media towards paying that off in the next 5 years. My mortgage payment every single month is $4,200, and of that $4,200, only $503 go to the actual principal of the loan, which is just it makes me so sick to look at. I quite literally, I can't even look at it. So I went on to my site where I can manage my loan, and I was looking at all of the data, and in order to pay off the loan in the next 5 years, I'm gonna have to pay close to $5,000 additional every single month, which right now that's just not something that I can allocate into my monthly budget. I can't allocate an additional $5K without drastically changing my life, which is something that I'm also not super interested in doing. I want to pay this debt off while also comfortably living my life. My goal is to allocate $3,000 every single month of my income towards paying off the loan, and I'll be able to pay more on certain months when I get my quarterly bonuses or any money that comes in from social media. And hopefully, even if I just pay the $3,000 extra every single month, my loan will be done by 2032. which is really close to 2030, which is my goal of 5 years. But I'm hoping that with all of my quarterly bonuses and just the extra income that I'll be able to get it done a lot sooner. So this is part 1 of me documenting my whole journey of paying off my $500,000 plus mortgage. I will be documenting every single time that I pay my mortgage, every single time that I make extra payments, and just how this process is going. And then in my next video, I'm also going to break down how I'm going to pay off my car loan early as well. But that's just a separate whole conversation. All right, I think that's pretty much it for this video. I'll see you in my next video.
I'm $71,842.35 in student loan debt. I've been using the snowball method to try to pay this off before my fiance gets into CRNA school, and the current loan that I'm working on is for an amount of $11,426.38. I'm using the snowball method to pay off my student loans, which means basically once I pay one off, I roll the amount into my next one, and I use any extra money that I have to pay off my student loans. I'm focusing on my private student loans first since they have a higher interest rate, and the loan I'm currently working on is for $11,426.38. My minimum monthly payments are paid, and today we're making a $1,000 payment on this loan that I'm trying to get rid of. I just press send, so the money is sent, and my current balance now will be $10,426.38. My goal is to get this paid off by summer so I can start focusing on my next loan, so let's see how I could do. I will gladly take any advice because finances are not my strong suit. I'm trying to learn more. If you have any advice on refinancing or if that is a good option for me, let me know.
And to the lady that owes $264,000 worth of debt, live your life, girl. Live your life. That debt gonna be here to you. Dead and gone, sugar. Live your life. I'm not saying go out there and be irresponsible and get yourself into any more debt. But what I am saying is this: do not deprive yourself of living your life, going places, eating out, vacation, doing this and doing whatever it is that makes you happy to do. Do not deprive yourself just because you're in some sort of debt. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm talking to me because I owe the $200,000 debt, $269,000 to be exact, or whatever. But that's neither here nor there. But I say all that to say this: some people, they think like, you know, they getting into all this, that, or whatever, student loans, whatever the case may be, and now it's like, oh, I can't do this, or I shouldn't do this and I shouldn't do that. You should still live your life and do it how you want to do it, because the bills is gonna be here no matter what. The debt is gonna be here no matter what, even after you're dead and gone. So live your life and do what you need to do that makes you happy or whatever. Don't, you know, deprive yourself just because you got all these bills or whatever. Don't do that. Still be responsible, but don't deprive yourself just because you have a lot of debt. Because I know I'm not. Baby, I'm living my best life. Do you hear me? And is. And that's why I say I suggest you do the same thing. Because that's what I'm talking about, me. Now. Okay? So, I don't know. What y'all think? What y'all think? That's just how I feel about it. What y'all think?
The comment sections on these debt videos are honestly painful to read sometimes because there's always a wave of people that show up and say, stop buying coffee, or you did this to yourself. Like, somehow that's helpful. That kind of response does real damage because shame is actually one of the biggest barriers to people taking action on their debt. Research on financial behavior consistently shows that people make better financial decisions when they feel supported and informed rather than judged and embarrassed. So the whole tough love approach of publicly shaming people for their debt isn't just mean, it's also genuinely counterproductive to actually solving the problem. The people brave enough to post these videos and be honest about their numbers are doing something that takes real courage, and they deserve engagement that actually helps rather than piles on. Empathy in this context isn't about letting people off the hook or saying nothing matters. It's about creating the kind of environment where people feel safe enough to actually face their situation honestly. You cannot fix something you're too ashamed to look directly at, and a little bit of grace from the people around you can genuinely be the thing that gives someone enough breathing room to start making moves. The internet would be a much better place if people remembered that before typing their first instinct into a comment box.
I have been financially not doing great. I am a nurse. Even though I am a nurse and I make good money, I don't have money, which is the sad part because of the choices that I've made still currently and the choices that I've made like previously, like from a couple of years. I am in credit card debt, and it's this unhealthy cycle that I have been putting myself into, and this just relationship with money has just never been something that I was talked about. Lifestyle creep is definitely a thing, and especially when you are trying to make a brand for yourself, when you're aspiring to do something that you want to do, and content creation has been something that I've always wanted to do. Being a YouTuber has always been something I want to do. I've always just wanted to be on camera. I've always just wanted to make a name for myself, whether it be like through content creation, being a YouTuber, being an entrepreneur, like whatever it may be. I always felt like I was meant to do something other than nursing. And so I think for years I have been continuously like, you know, going with the trends and like, you know, buying whatever everyone else buys so that like I can post about it and like, you know, be seen. But then I get caught up with imposter syndrome of not being enough. For in order for me to become someone, I guess I was influenced by everyone else around me. So if I bought the next best thing, or if I like looked a certain way by buying these clothes, then I was gonna make an image, a brand for myself. And that turned into like so many like dumb purchases like along the way that I'm like literally paying for now. And don't get me wrong, I have been trying to get myself together when it comes to my finances, because obviously like I have money to pay my bills, I have money to like pay down the minimums on my credit cards. But a lot of the times I don't take into account like, money like for myself and money to, you know, just enjoy life. And most of the time, like, I'm struggling to even do that. So I think I've reached my breaking point. Enough is enough. Like, living paycheck to paycheck, living with like the credit card debt and like the afterpays and everything, like I'm done. Like, I'm so done. I want to be financially free. Like, I don't want to have to worry about like, you know, if I'm gonna be able to eat. I just don't want to be in this cycle anymore, because it's like I want to travel, I want to buy a house, I want to get married, like all of these things. Like, it's just like it's not possible until I take this step of paying off my debt. And not just paying off my debt, but like being financially literate and just understanding you can't always have your wants. You have to prioritize like your needs. And sometimes like I rationalize like my needs, my wants, to make them seem like they're needs. And I just need to get out of this toxic like mindset. Like, it sucks. And I'm not making this an excuse, but I guess like impulsivity and like shopping addiction is part of ADHD. And sometimes I hate it. Like, sometimes I like get mad at myself for having this ADHD and is the reason why I'm in this situation. But at the same time, it's like I need to remember, what can I do now to just like get myself out of this hole. So the reason I'm crying on the internet is to show people that like, seriously, like, do not like, I understand that, you know, I'm trying to be an influencer, I'm trying to be a content creator, and that goes with like promoting products, but like literally live within your means and only buy like if you have the money for it. Stop klarning, stop affirming, stop afterpaying, like stop just swiping the credit card, because like, yeah, it may be fun like in the moment, but literally you will regret it if that stuff like just racks up and it's like years down the line and you're still paying for that purse that you bought like 4 years ago. Life is too freaking short for us to be paying money on stuff that we bought like a couple years ago. Life is too short for us to be paying for materialistic things. Instead, we should be paying for experiences, for like adventures and whatever it may be, like for new life like chapters. And I don't know, buying the next best thing is not worth your mental health. Buying the next best thing is not worth the emotional and financial burden that you're going to experience if you can't pay it off right away. If you're watching this and you are also in the same boat, like, you are not alone. This stuff is hard to navigate, and not a lot of people like talk about the realness about being in credit card debt or like even student loans. Like I don't even want to think about like the student loans that I have and like my car loan. Like that's another thing in itself. But if you're watching this all the way through, the one thing that I can say is that if you're going into 2025 with debt, specifically credit card debt, please make a plan to like get out of it, because I know I am, because I can't do it anymore. It's not cute anymore to just put it on the credit card or like I'll do some installment payments. It's not cute anymore. You're gonna continue these habits and it's gonna take you so much longer to, one, pay for it, but two, unlearn those habits of impulse spending.
The most important reframe I can offer someone watching this who's in debt is that your current situation is not your permanent situation. And I know that sounds like something people just say, but the math actually backs it up. Debt has an endpoint if you're making consistent payments, even small ones. The balance goes down, the interest shrinks, and eventually it's gone. And that timeline is a lot more visible once you actually map it out. The psychological shift from feeling like debt is this infinite weight to seeing it as a specific number with a specific payoff date is genuinely powerful and changes how people approach it. There are more resources available right now than at any other point in history. Free financial counseling, income-based repayment programs, debt management plans, communities of people sharing real struggles online. The people in these TikToks who are being open about where they actually are ahead of a lot of people in many ways, because awareness is the prerequisite of everything else. Whatever brought you into your current financial situation, a bad decision, bad luck, a broken system, or some combination of all three, it doesn't define where you end up. People have climbed out of six-figure debt, rebuilt their credit from the ground up, and completely changed their financial trajectory. And they weren't special. They just stayed consistent and kept going. That's the move. Not perfection, not some dramatic overnight transformation. You just gotta keep going, keep learning, and don't let that weight stop you from taking that next step forward.